Justin, you got a debutant?
Yeah, Matty Johnson will come in to the team. He'll make his debut as a sub. So yeah, we're really excited. Been looking to get him into the team for a while now. He's had a tremendous pre-season. He's got his body up to AFL standard. Not that it wasn't, but it takes a while for younger players coming into the system, and really worked on his running, and his performances at Peel have been really strong. So yeah, he's deserving of his opportunity, and yeah, he'll come into the side.
Are you ever reticent to debut a player in a game that's a little bit more intense than other home and away games, like a derby sometimes is?
Not really. No. I think he's made of the right stuff. He's a pretty calm and composed player. He's good in the contest, and I think he'll be up for it. So yeah, it didn't really come across my mind at all.
How close did Fifey come to getting up to the game?
Yeah, it was close. Yeah, he trained majority, or all of the session yesterday. Just probably hasn't come along as well as we needed. So it's improved, but we thought the extra week would make a fair bit of difference. So that's where it sits.
How does it look for next week, and then even beyond that? Is that just something he's going to...
I think it's going to be a week by week thing. It can come good pretty quick. It might hang around for a little bit longer than we expect. It's a hard injury to put a time frame on. So it's improved from last week. Continues on that trend. We hope that he'll be right for next week.
Have you made a call on who your second ruckman's going to be, Adam?
Yes. No, not just yet. There's a few options, but there's not a lot of options as well. So, but yeah, we've got a plan. We'll go in with them, find out who the second ruck is about the 15-minute mark of the first quarter.
If I ask you if Harry Edwards is going to be...
He's in the squad, so we'll see how we go this afternoon with selection. So we'll leave it as late as we can.
Just in terms of that ruck battle, for you guys, how big a challenge is that going up against two really quality ruckmen there?
Well, it's probably the biggest challenge in the AFL. So the number one for hit-outs. I'm pretty sure we're not number one or in top four, but it's the collective. So it's how we handle it. I thought last week we handled it pretty well, albeit the Giants had a young ruckman and had a second stringer that was probably a bit like ours. So it's a bit different this week, though.
Yeah, it's not uncommon for sides to get thrashed in hit-outs, but then be dominant in the clearance battle.
Yeah, yep. It's not uncommon to win the hit-outs and win the clearances too. So it's all connected, but it's something we've got to deal with while Nick's not available, and we've got some young rucks coming through.
You said on radio last night that Nick, you and him and the doctor were going to sit down today, and is surgery an option at the moment for Nick?
We've got a meeting this morning. Coincidentally, it's after this press conference, so we'll get to you as soon as we can on that. But I don't think surgery is part of the conversation.
Are you concerned that he might not play at all this year, or are you still hoping?
No, I think he'll play this year. Yep. But I can't comment until I get the full details. So we'll release something when the time's right. But he won't be playing for a few weeks.
Last weekend, you obviously showed that new game style that everyone's been talking about, and it was really great to see. How important is it that you replicate it this week to show it's habitual and not a revelation, I suppose?
Well, we didn't change anything from game to game. We just doubled down on what we've been training, what we've been trying to replicate from training to in game. So it was pleasing. The guys performed pretty well. We'll try our best to do it again this week, and we're going to have some ups and downs with it all. But I think, along your grades, you can't do a lot unless you win the ball. And I've said this a number of times. If you win the contest and you get your fair share of clearances, then the rest of your game will flow. And that's just what we hadn't got right round one.
How do you make sure that a dominant ruck becomes a dominant midfield, winning clearances, quick entries, all that sort of thing?
No, at the moment, not really focused on being a dominant midfield. We just need to make sure we break even in there. We haven't done that, and Simo mentioned our hit-outs. That hasn't been transferring to breaking even. So, we need to change the mix-up in there. And we need to change our structure up a little bit to see if we can make the most of what our big fellas are doing in the ruck.
Okay, will you take more risks this week?
In terms of
his style of play?
Well, I'm not going to sit here and go into our game plan and what needs to change. Well, in short, we've been getting the ball inside 50 enough, I feel. 65 inside 50s, 57 inside 50s. We need to make more of that. If we can get some stoppage going our way, I think it'll contribute to a better brand of footy.
How high are the stakes at LNG for you?
I don't really get caught up in stakes and outcomes. I've been putting my head in my computer, watching West Coast, trying to devise a plan with the coaches for this week, and improve our own footy. So, I don't really get caught up in the ladder.
And when you say change the mix in the midfield, are you looking to get some new guys in there?
I think you saw last week we put Switkowski through there, put Jackson through there a little bit in the St Kilda game. I just think we need to do a few more of those little things. Change the energy, change the dynamic, not be as predictable.
Jackson is a big-bodied midfielder. What do you like about that?
Well, he's a great ground ball player. He's a great pressure player. And I think sometimes we get caught up in stereotypes of what big men should do. He's a very good ground level player and a very good pressure player, which is what you need to be a midfielder. So we'll need his aerial presence down forward, and think he can turn that around. But he also offers a lot at ground level. So like I said before, we need to start winning the contest around stoppages, and he can assist in that area.
Yeah. How's he been handling all of the criticism that's been put on him?
He's handling it fine. Yeah, he's understands he's 2 games into a long career at Freo, and like he said to me the other day, I played some average games at Melbourne as well. So he understands the ups and downs of AFL, and he understands where he's at in his career, and he's keen to perform, but he also understands it's going to be a long career here.
And marking wise, he had quite a few good looks last game. It just didn't stick. Is it just a matter of that game it didn't stick, but in time it will? Yeah,
and sometimes you just got to stick to the process. Sometimes you can think everything's going wrong when the thing he's doing, and probably what we're doing as a team, is not finishing our work off. So he's creating enough opportunities. He had 3 shots on goal against St Kilda, created some more marking opportunities last week. The final piece of the puzzle is to take them. So he's well aware that he's doing some things right in his game as well.
What do you see Matt Johnson's role once he does come on? Do you see him playing inside mid or wing, or a bit of both?
He's an inside mid and a winger, so he'll play through the middle of the ground.
Adam, what do you expect from Freo this week?
Well, it's going to be on. So the same as every derby. So I don't think there'd be too many surprises in terms of what's at stake in terms of the win. So I don't think we're going to get surprised too much. I think they're going to come pretty hard.
Is there much temptation to bring Elliott go back, or?
No, he's not ready. No, he's another week away. So he might be available next week.
And Simo, Barasta's had a tough start to the year. Can you put your finger on why that's the case?
Two kids, under 3 years old. Look, he's a bit rusty at the moment, so he's working really hard on his craft. Just been a really good defender. So, yes, a bit of it's supply, a bit of it's just getting into the rhythm. Back working with Gov and the rest of the back. So, we're not too worried about that.
I guess last year when Gov went down, he really had to stand up. So is it more, as you just mentioned, adjusting back to the role he was before?
Yeah, I mean, I know I've spoken this a little bit, but the synergy of our side's still work, a work in progress. We've got a number of new players and a number of players coming back. So we debuted 5 players, 4 of them teenagers. So that's going to take some time, and our senior players as well, which I spoke about a few weeks ago. So I don't think we're the finished product at the moment.
Yeah. Taking on Jackson as a big-bodied midfielder, how do you go about stopping a player like that?
But it's difficult. Yeah, we had our challenges last week with the Giants midfield being so big. 200 centimetre midfield is probably another step up. So we'll have a challenge there. So it's interesting. The mids these days, there's still the 180 centimetre dominant players, and then there's the 6'6", 6'10" midfielders that you got to deal with as well. So it's something you got to prepare for every week.
Justin, last week you threw Brendan forward towards the end of the game. Is that an option when you're talking about a lack of connection between your mids and forwards, a player who has demonstrated he can get on the end of it?
Oh, probably not. No, we, I think our backline's been pretty solid. We'd like to keep the backline mix the same. And West Coast posed some threats with their tall forwards, especially last week they marked the ball inside 50, added Waterman to the mix as well. So, Coxie will play back.
Just speaking, previously about Luke Jackson, but JL, for you, looking at the Eagles, Jermaine Jones stand out sort of last week. Where's the danger kind of lie within West Coast based on what you've seen?
I don't think it was one out of the box last week. Simo's brand he's trying to build there. He's been working on it for a number of weeks, but also back end of last year. So, when they get speed on the ball, they're dangerous. And their forwards get to work as hard as any forward line group in the comp, and when they get the supplier that they got last week, they're hard to stop because you don't just have to clamp down one player. You've got talls and smalls getting to work. It's a really different mix when they get that look. So a bit of delay on the ball would be good.
Adam, you spoke before about selections previously and justifying selections and that. Campbell Chesser and Elijah Hewitt, two young guys still coming through. How do you juggle between keeping them in the AFL side and possibly giving them some waffle time?
Yeah, it's going to happen. Both's going to happen. These guys don't get drafted one year and play every game seniors. So, but there's also what we're trying to do with our list and our profile and our future. It's backing the kids in probably a bit longer than we normally would with an eye on the future. And then there's respecting the integrity of match committee. So. Yeah, whether it's this week, next week, 5 weeks, it's not going to be a linear progression with our kids. But we like what we see with all of them, and we think that there's something there with all of them, and it's just whether it's in the seniors every week. So we'll make that call this afternoon. But there'll be changes throughout the year.
You said before though, you expect it to be on. How important is maybe a lesson in a game like the Derby for those young guys?
A lesson,
or just an experience, I suppose.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah, it's I know it feels like a bigger game, and this is probably a reasonably bigger press conference than we normally do on a Thursday, but or Friday. But yeah, it is another game. So it does settle down, and it's motivation. It lasts for 10 seconds, and then it's your standard game. Albeit there's a lot at stake within the town. So yeah, that selection doesn't play a part in the Derby. It's just play your best team. We've got a little bit of an eye on the future as well.
Question for both of you. Do you see the difference in your players and you build up to a Derby than to a normal home and away game?
Well, not really. I've said this before. When I first got here, I thought it was it's important to really build it up, and then I realised pretty quickly that that's dangerous. You don't need to do it. Just treat it like a normal week. So. And the players, in particularly experienced players, sort of know what's in front of them. And the biggest difference, I suppose, is whose home game it is. You get your crowd as part of your team. So we'll have to battle that this week.
How important is that crowd, Justin?
Yeah, playing in front of home crowd, it does give you a little bit extra. I feel like if we give our fans something to shout about, they're one of the loudest in the comp and one of the most passionate in the comp. So urge them all to get there, or urge them all to scream from the first bounce and get it behind us.
And it seemed like you guys formed a pretty close bond during your time at West Coast. Do you guys get to hang out at all, or do you touch base? What's it like?
Jeez, you misread the kids there.
I'll get rid of them quick enough. It's a small town. It's a small industry. So every team you play has people on staff that you have relationships with. So, really happy for Longy and the rest of Fremantle after this week to do what they need to do. It's not this week.
Just a question for both of you, the waffle, scrapping the set of bounces. Do you think it's a matter of time before the AFL does the same thing?
Scrapping what?
Scrapping the set of bounce with the...
bounce. Geez, this is the least of my worries at the moment. I don't know. Part of me loves the unpredictability of the bounce, but a part of me gets frustrated when they have to recall it. So I'm on the fence.
You don't have to answer, Simo, that's all right. That's okay, one answer's enough.
Okay. It does make it easier for the umpires, and if we get good umpires who can't bounce it, that can't adjudicate, then I'm probably more for it, to throw up.
Justin, when you're missing a player of Fyfe's calibre up forward, how do you go about covering that loss? Is it a matter of next man up, or do you need to tweak things in the game plan?
No, in a way, it's a matter of next man up. But yeah, we need to make sure we're not relying on too few. All right, we need a more even spread down there. More even contribution. A little bit more commitment to the system. So, whoever gets an opportunity this week will play their role within that, and hopefully we can get a bit more bang for buck.
What did you make of them all running to the same spot and being caught under the same ball and in the same marking contest?
Yeah,
last week.
Yeah, it's not ideal, is it? Like, you want to isolate your strengths, and you want to let your big fellas, work one-on-one as best you can, and we didn't do that. So, whether that's the ruck pushing forward to create an extra number, or just our taller forwards, banging into each other, we'll try and search for a bit more isolation, understanding that, we can't leave, McGovern and Brass and these guys making 2v1s either. So, we've done a little bit of work on that this week, and hopefully we see some improvement.
Did you get an invite to the barbie?
No, I didn't. No, I was a bit flat on that. Lot's been made of the barbecue. Like it's, players have caught up all pre-season. They caught up all last year. They hang out together in their downtime. I think it's a good thing. I think there was anything out of the ordinary in a barbecue at Sean's house, apart from the lack of an invite. So I'm on to him about that.